Hello, dreamers, stargazers, and night wanderers. Welcome back to another journey through the quiet corners of the cosmos, where curiosity drifts slowly like a feather through the dark. Tonight, we're traveling far, yet nowhere at all. We're going back to the very beginning, to the moment the universe blinked into existence. Before stars, before atoms, before time itself had a name. So settle in, let your thoughts loosen, let the world outside pause for a little while. Because the story of everything, including you, begins with a single moment of unimaginable stillness, followed by the greatest awakening of all time. This is the beginning of the universe. Let's drift back to where it all began. Take one more slow breath with me. In and out. Good. Now let the weight of the day settle gently, like snow falling on still water. We're going further back than any story you've ever been told. Further than grandmothers, further than mountains, further than Earth itself. We're going back to a place where even back loses its meaning. Before the universe began, there was no before. There was no yesterday, no tomorrow, no last week, no next second. Time hadn't been invented yet. It was still waiting in its box, unopened. There was no space, no left or right, no far or near, no inside or outside. You couldn't be lost, because there was nowhere to get lost in. You couldn't be found, because there was no place to stand and wave. There was no light, but there was also no darkness, because darkness is just light, quiet shadow. And even shadows hadn't been born. There was no heat, no cold, no movement, no stillness. Because all of those things need room to happen. and room itself was still only a dream about to wake up. Imagine trying to whisper in a world with no air. Imagine trying to reach out in a world with no distance. That's how complete this nothing was. Everything, absolutely everything we know, every galaxy, every ocean wave, every laugh you've ever heard, every sleepy sigh you're breathing right now was somehow pressed into a single point. A point so small that the idea of small doesn't even fit. Smaller than an atom, smaller than a dot at the end of this sentence, smaller than anything your mind can picture. Because picturing needs space, and space wasn't there yet. Scientists give this impossible point a quiet name: the singularity. A place where the rules we live by every day, gravity, speed, cause and effect, simply stop and look at each other confused. Our equations shrug. Our smartest minds pause and say, we don't know, and that's all right. Tonight, you don't need to know either. You are allowed to simply rest inside the great soft question mark that came before the very first answer. Feel it around you now. This gentle, endless hush. No hurry, no noise, no edges. Just the quietest, safest darkness you've ever met. The kind that isn't scary at all, because it's the darkness that was waiting patiently, lovingly, to become everything, including you. In this great stillness, something was about to stir. Not yet, not quite, but almost. For now, stay here a little longer, wrapped in the velvet silence that held the promise of every star. You belong here. You came from here. And whenever you're ready, we'll listen together for the very first heartbeat of time. And then, after an eternity of no time at all, something happened that had never happened before. Not an explosion, like fireworks or thunder. Not a bang you could hear, because there was no ears, no air, no outside for sound to travel through. It was quieter than quiet. It was the moment everything decided to begin. 13.8 billion years ago, from our gentle viewpoint tonight, the singularity, that impossible tiny point, holding all possibilities, stopped being a point. Let it go. In a breath smaller than the smallest breath you've ever taken, everything that would ever be suddenly began stretching, waking, expanding. Space itself was born in that instant, and it didn't wait politely. It rushed outward faster than anything we can imagine, faster than light would ever be allowed to travel once the rules were written. Imagine the softest flower you've ever seen deciding all at once to open every petal it would ever have, forever, in one endless and flurry. Or picture the surface of a sleeping pond, perfectly still, suddenly remembering it could hold ripples, waves, entire oceans, and choosing to become them all at once. That's closer to what happened. This wasn't something exploding into empty space, because empty space didn't exist yet. Space itself was the thing being born, stretching, making room for itself as it grew. Everything was inside the expansion. Nothing was outside, because outside was still only a word waiting for its turn. Scientists sometimes use a simple, sleepy image to help us feel it. Imagine a balloon, soft and dark, with no air inside. Now imagine the entire balloon is the whole universe, and someone very gently begins to breathe into it. Every dot you could draw on its surface moves away from every other dot. Not because the dots are racing, but because the fabric between them is growing. That's what the Big Bang was. The balloon waking up and remembering it could be vast. In that first impossible sliver of a moment, temperature and energy were so high that the ideas of hot and cold hadn't been separated yet. Everything was one perfect, singing brightness, too bright for eyes, too loud for ears that didn't exist, too dense for anything to be anything except everything. And yet, it was peaceful. There was no fear, no struggle, no pain. Only pure becoming. Like the quietest, most loving yes the universe ever spoke to itself. And in that yes, time took its very first tick. Space took its very first stretch. The greatest story ever told opened its eyes, looked around at absolutely nothing, and began making room for absolutely everything, including the bed you're lying in right now, including the slow rise and fall of your chest, including every dream you will ever dream. All of it began here, in this gentle, unstoppable unfolding. Rest inside that thought for a moment. You're not just watching the story of the universe, you are its quiet continuation. Breathing softly, 13.8 billion years later. Whenever you're ready, we'll follow this newborn, everything into its very first second of life. But for now, just listen. Can you hear it? The softest heartbeat still echoing, still saying yes. Now, let the newborn universe breathe with you. In and out. We are no longer in the great stillness. We are inside the very first second. A second so small that a trillion of them would still feel like a heartbeat to us tonight. Everything is moving, stretching, singing at a pitch no ear will ever hear. The temperature. Try to imagine standing at the heart of a star. Then imagine a trillion stars pressed into the space of one heartbeat. Then multiply that warmth until the idea of warm melts away. $10 billion degrees, 100 billion. Numbers stop meaning anything. There is only one glowing, furious brightness that is too fierce even to be cold light yet. Inside this radiance, nothing solid can exist. No planets, no dust, no you, no me. There are only the tiniest possible dancers, smaller than atoms, smaller than anything we will ever see again. Quarks, gluons, electrons, photons. They whirl and tumble and crash in a dance that has no floor, no walls, no up or down. Imagine every possible color you've ever loved and every color you've never seen, all mixed together so completely that color itself hasn't decided what it wants to be yet. This is the plasma ocean of the infant universe. A soup so perfect, so symmetrical, that matter and antimatter are holding hands. Mirror twins born in the same breath. Every time a particle of matter appears, a particle of antimatter appears right beside it, like its shy reflection. They should cancel each other out, kiss and vanish back into pure energy, and for a tiny, tiny slice of that first second, they almost do. But something gentler than a whisper and quieter than sleep tips the balance. For every billion antimatter particle that disappear with their partners, one single particle of ordinary matter is left behind. One lonely survivor out of a billion. That is all the universe needs. That tiny, almost unfair leftover is enough to make every mountain, every ocean, every kitten's whisker, every sleepy smile you will ever give someone in the dark. All of it comes from that delicate, loving imbalance in the first flicker of time. Slowly, so slowly, we cannot rush it. The universe stretches further. It cools the way warm breath on a winter morning cools the moment it leaves your lips. By the end of the first second, still less time than it takes you to blink. The temperature has fallen to a mere 10 billion degrees. Quirks begin to feel a gentle pull toward one another. They huddle in threes, like children holding hands in a storm. And when they do, the first proton and neutrons are born. Tiny, trembling building blocks. The universe has just invented the idea of almost something. It is still far too hot and wild for atoms, those calm, ground up families we know today. But the seeds are there, the promise is there. In this roaring silence, the future is already whispering. One day there will be forest. One day there will be lullabies. One day there will be you listening to my story while the night holds you safe. Rest here for a moment. Feel the wild kindness of it all. Everything was once this small, this hot, this impossible. And everything chose against all odds to keep going. For you, for the quiet rise and fall of your breath right now. The first second is over, but its courage still beats inside every atom of your body. Whenever you're ready, we'll wait with the young universe a little longer until the light finally finds the courage to be free. Close your eyes a little tighter now and let 380,000 years drift by like the slowest snowfall you've ever watched. 380,000 years, longer than mountains have stood, longer than rivers have known their names, longer than any creature has ever walked or swum or flown. To the newborn universe, it was still only early morning. For all that time, the universe stayed dark, not the peaceful dark we love at bedtime, but a thick, glowing fog of pure energy. Light exited rivers, oceans, hurricanes of light, but it could not travel. Every photon born in that fairy youth was caught immediately, snatched by the crowding particles, bounced and scattered before it could take even one free step. Imagine trying to walk through honey that is also on fire. That was light's life for the first 380,000 years. The universe was bright, blindingly bright, but it could not see itself. Then, very gently, the great cooling continued. The wild plasma ocean began to thin. Protons and electrons, those restless dancers from the first second, started to feel something new, a quiet invitation. They slowed, they circled, they reached out like sleepy children, finally ready to hold hands. One by one, almost shyly, an electron would settle into orbit around a proton. And when it did, something magical happened. An atom was born. The very first neutral atom. Hydrogen, the simplest and sweetest of all elements. In that instant, light, which had been trapped and frantic for longer than forests would ever dream of existing, suddenly found the fog lifting. There was room, there was quiet, there was, for the very first time, a clear path. Light took its very first free journey across the newborn cosmos. The universe opened its eyes, and in that opening, everything changed color. The fierce, white, hot glow softened into a warm, perfect orange red. The color of the sky just after the sun slips below the horizon. The color you see when you close your eyes on a summer evening and still feel the day's gentle warmth. This light spread in every direction at once. A silent sunrise with no edges and no center. It was the first thing the universe ever saw of itself. We call this moment recombination, but tonight we can call it something softer. We can call it the moment the universe learned how to blush. That very first light, cooled and stretched by billions of years of gentle travel, is still moving through space tonight. It has grown even softer, from orange to the faintest whisper of microwave warmth. And if you could step outside right now, hold a special ear to the sky, you would still hear it. A quiet, all around hum, perfectly even in every direction. Scientists named it the cosmic microwave background. But tonight, we can give it a bedtime name. We can call it the universe baby photo. A picture taken the first time it could see its own face. And you, lying there under your blanket, are bathed in the same ancient glow, thinned to the gentlest cares, cooler than moonlight, older than any grandparent's grandparent. Every inch of the darkness around you is quietly shining with the light of that first sunrise. Rest inside that thought. The light that learned to be free 13.8 billion years ago is still looking for places to land. Tonight, it found you. It traveled across everything that ever happened just to tuck itself softly around your shoulders while you sleep. You are being held by the universe's very first smile. Whenever you're ready, we'll follow the light a little further to the moment the very first stars decide to wake up and answer it. But for now, stay here. Let the oldest light in existence keep you company. It has nowhere else it needs to be. Let a few 100 million years float past us now, the way dreamers float when you're half awake and don't want morning yet. The universe is no longer a blinding furnace. It has cooled to a deep velvet darkness, threaded with that faint orange afterglow we just met. Space is vast and quiet, filled almost entirely with the simplest atoms. Hydrogen and a sprinkle of helium, drifting like the endless mist over a sleeping sea. Gravity, the gentlest storyteller of all, has been awake the whole time. It never shouts, it only whispers. Come on a little closer, a little closer. And slowly, patiently, the mist begins to listen. In places scattered across the darkness, tiny clumps of hydrogen feel that whisper more strongly than the rest. They lean toward one another. A cloud the size of 1,000 solar systems begins to shrink, folding in on itself like a blanket pulled softly around tired shoulders. As it shrinks, it spins, slowly at first, then with the calm grace of a dancer remembering an old lullaby. The center grows warmer, warmer, warmer still. 10,000 degrees, a million degrees, 10 million degrees. And then, in a moment that feels almost shy, the very first star opens its eye. A single spark of pure, steady blue-white light in the endless night. Then another, then 1,000, then millions upon millions. The dark lights up with the softest fireworks the universe will ever set off. Fireworks that will burn not for seconds, but for billions of years. These first stars were giants compared to our gentle sun. Some were 100 times heavier, blazing with fierce, quiet beauty that turned the surrounding hydrogen clouds into glowing pink and violet lace. Inside their hearts, something even more tender began. Hydrogen atoms, pressed close by unthinkable weight, began to embrace in a new way. 4 at a time, they joined hands and became helium. In that joining, they released a sigh of pure energy, the same quiet sigh that keeps every star shining tonight. But the biggest, bravest stars didn't stop there. They kept inviting atoms closer, closer, until carbon was born. Then oxygen, nitrogen, even a dusting of iron. They became quite forgets, cooking the building blocks of future worlds inside their glowing hearts. And when their long lives finally drew to a close, Some of them bowed with perfect grace. They exhaled their newly made elements into space in slow, shimmering breath. Others gathered their strength for one last gift, a supernova, a bloom of light so bright it can outshine entire galaxies for a few gentle weeks. In that final flare, they scattered gold, silver, calcium, the very same calcium that now sleeps in your bones and helps your heart beat softly under the blanket. Every atom that is not hydrogen or helium in your body was born inside one of these ancient, loving stars. The carbon in your breath, the iron in your blood, the sparkle of calcium when you smile in your sleep. All of it was once held in the warm heart of a star that lived and died long before Earth ever dreamed of existing. Carl Sagan said it gently. We are made of star stuff. But tonight, we can say it even more softly. You are made of starlight that learned how to say goodbye to the rest of us who'd say hello. Rest inside that truth. The first stars are gone now, but they never really left. They simply became the night sky's quiet way hugging you. Every time you look up and feel small in the best possible way, they are answering, no, dear one, you are exactly the right size. We made sure of it. Whenever you're ready, we'll watch those scattered gifts of stardust begin to gather again into the great families we call galaxies. But for now, stay here among the very first lights. They are still shining inside you. Let another few 100 million years drift over us, slow as dust settling on a sleeping cat. The great first stars have lived their right, generous lives and gone quiet. Their ashes, gold, carbon, oxygen, iron, flow through the dark like the softest snow that ever fell on a world with no one to see it. Gravity, still the patient mother of everything, never tires of whispering. Now it speaks to the ashes themselves. Come, gather. There is room for families. And the ashes listen. Tiny clumps grow into clouds. Clouds grow into ribbons, into threads, into delicate, glowing filaments that stretch for millions of light years. Imagine the thinnest spider slit spun across the entire sky, and then imagine it glowing faintly from within, lit by newborn stars. That is what the universe looked like when it was only 1 billion years old. A cosmic web, gentle and immense, holding everything together with invisible threads of gravity. Inside the densest knot of those threads, something breathtaking begins. Hundreds of billions of stars, along with their planets, gas, dust, and dark matter, start dancing in the slowest, most graceful ballet you will ever witness. They circle, they spiral, they settle into vast, turning islands of light, galaxies. Some are quite spirals, arms unwinding like the soft curl of a kitten's tail. Some are gentle ovals, glowing golden and calm. Others are wild and irregular, still remembering the chaos of their youth. Our own Milky Way is one of these quiet spirals, beginning to spin its slow pinwheel even then. Picture it, 100 billion stars, seen from far away, would look like warm milk poured across black velvet, swirling, swirling, taking its time. At its heart, a quiet glow, not yet the fierce monster black hole we know today only a gentle promise of one, still growing, still learning how to hold everything close. Around and around the stars go, some taking 250 million years just to complete one sleepy lap. You and I, lying here tonight, are halfway through one of those laps right now. We have been traveling with the sun and its planets around the Milky Way's center for your entire life, and we have barely moved a single degree along the Great Circle. That is how patient the dance is. That is how safe. Look closer, if you can. Inside one of those spiral arms, a faint yellow star. Nothing special, just one among hundreds of billions, is only now beginning to gather its own small cloud of leftover stardust. It will take another 9 billion years for that dust to become planets. One of those planets will be wrapped in soft blue and white. On that planet, forests will grow, oceans will sing, and one day, billions of years from now, a child will lie in bed, listening to the story, eyes half closed, heart perfectly calm. All of it is already written in the slow turning of the galaxy's arms. Every spiral you have ever drawn with a crayon, every curl of hair on someone you love, every slow swirl of cream in your morning coffee is the universe quietly remembering how it learned to dance in the dark. Rest here for a moment. Inside the great turning, you are not just living inside a galaxy. You are the galaxy's quiet way of folding its arms around itself and humming a lullaby that has taken 13 billion years to reach the perfect note. Whenever you're ready, we'll lift our gaze even wider. to see that this gentle spinning never actually stopped and never will. But for now, stay inside the slow waltz of the Milky Way. Let it rock you. It has been rocking you since the day you were born, and it will keep rocking you long after every dream tonight has drifted away. And now, let the last 13 billion years drift past us, the way a single feather drifts down an endless staircase. Everything we have met tonight, the first light, the first stars, the great spirals, is still here. Only gentler, only further apart. The universe never stopped stretching. That very first expansion, the quiet yes that began everything, never paused to catch its breath. It is still happening tonight, right now, while your eyes grow heavy. Galaxies that once rested shoulder to shoulder like children at a campfire have become wanderers on an ever widening sea. The space between them isn't being filled, it's being born. New room keeps appearing where no room was before. The way silence appears between two soft notes of lullaby. If you could place a ruler between the Milky Way and its nearest big sister, Andromeda, and come back in 1,000 years, the ruler would need to be a little longer. Not because anyone is moving through space very quickly, but because space itself is growing, like dough rising under the gentlest invisible hand. For a long time, we thought this stretching would slow down. Gravity, after all, loves to pull things together. We expected it to act like a tired parent, eventually calling the children home. But when astronomers looked very very far away, so far that they were looking back almost to the universe childhood. They saw something no one expected. The furthest galaxies are not slowing down, they are speeding up. Something is pushing them softly, relentlessly, the way your blanket sometimes feels heavier and warmer the deeper you sink into sleep. We call it dark energy, but that is only a name for our wonder. We do not know what is it. We only know it is patient and vast and kind in the strangest way. It's making sure there will always be room for more stories, room for more quiet, room for light that hasn't been born yet, to travel a little further before it finds a place to rest. Tonight, the universe is 93 billion light years wide. At least the part we can still touch with our telescopes. When you were born, it was a little smaller. When your grandparents were born, it was smaller still. Every bedtime, the ceiling above you has moved a tiny bit further away, and the stars have taken one more quiet step into the widening night. And yet, nothing feels lost. The same ancient starlight still finds your window. The same Milky Way still curves above the roof like a protective arm. The same soft darkness still knows exactly where you are. You are living in the gentle middle of a story that will never quite finish growing. There is no ending coming that will switch off the lights. One more horizon, only more room for wonder, only more quiet for dreams. So rest now, little traveler of 13 billion years. Every atom in your body was once inside a star that no longer existed. Every dream in your heart tonight will scatter tomorrow like soft seeds on this ever opening field. And somewhere, countless billions of years from now, the last light of the last star will glide across the quietest darkness that ever will be. And it will still remember the shape of your name because you were there when the story learned how to be vast. You are here while it learns how to be gentle, and you will always belong to both. Good night, dreamer. Sleep softly under ancient starlight that is still stretching, still singing, still making room just for you. You made it all the way from the great stillness before time to this quiet moment under your blanket. 13.8 billion years folded gently into one bedtime story. And here you are, still breathing, still held. Feel it now. The same atom that once danced in the first furious second, the same light that learned to travel the day the universe blushed, the same stardust that was kissed into gold inside long gone giants, the same slow spiral that rocked the Milky Way into being. All of it is resting with you tonight. Your heartbeat is their heartbeat, slowed to the pace of a sleeping child. Your breath is the same soft wind that once scattered galaxies further apart. You are not separate from any of it. You are the universe's quiet way of closing its eyes and remembering how gentle it can be. So let the wonder settle like the softest snow on every thought you no longer need tonight. Let gratitude rise, slow and warm, the way steam rises from cocoa when you wrap both hands around the mug. Thank you, little dreamer, for traveling so far with me. Thank you for trusting the dark. Thank you for being the place where starlight finally comes home to rest. Wherever you are, whatever tomorrow holds, remember this. Every night, the entire cosmos leans in, tucks the blanket of night a little closer, and whispers the same three words it has whispered since the very photon learned how to fly. You are enough. Now, let the ancient light dim behind your eyelids. Let the great turning slow the rhythm of your own sleepy tide. Let every question you still carry drift away on the same quiet current that carries galaxies. There's nothing left to solve tonight, only softness, only safety, only the endless, loving hush that has been waiting 13 billion years for exactly this moment, exactly this breath, exactly this you. Good night, sweet traveler of the long light. Sleep softly. The stars will keep watch. They always have.